Stop. Seriously, stop what you're doing right now. The Jefferson nickel in your pocket could be hidden wealth, a silent fortune, and you might spend it without even realizing it. Nobody talks about these coins, but collectors are fighting over them behind closed doors, and the auction prices? Real shock. Do not spend these coins. Check your pocket now. Each coin we reveal today gets rarer, more dangerous to ignore, and could change everything. So stay with me. First up, you've seen this coin. You've held it. You've probably spent it without a second thought. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because the 2001D Jefferson nickel doesn't look special at all. It doesn't shine. It doesn't scream value. It hides. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because people are unknowingly throwing away something that collectors are quietly chasing for serious money. Now here's where things start to feel uncomfortable. The year 2001 wasn't just another ordinary year in the United States. It was a moment of tension, uncertainty, and massive economic shifts. Production lines were under pressure, focus was elsewhere, and quality control wasn't always perfect. Coins from this period carry that silent stress, tiny imperfections, subtle differences, and overlooked characteristics that today create unexpected rarity. This specific nickel, struck at the Denver Mint, marked with that small but powerful D, was part of a high-output system trying to keep up with national demand. But here's the twist. Not all of them came out the same. Some carried die fatigue. Some carried microscopic variations. And a few, very few, survived circulation in a state that still holds collector attention today. Hold one in your hand and really feel it. It weighs exactly 5.0 grams with a diameter of 21.21 millimeters. The thickness, about 1.95 millimeters. It feels ordinary, smooth edge, familiar size. But that's the illusion, because inside that small disc of metal, made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, is a hidden story of pressure, wear, and survival. Look at the front, the obverse. Thomas Jefferson's profile stares calmly to the left. The word Liberty sits beside him, followed by the date 2001, that small D mint mark. Don't ignore it, because that single letter changes everything. Above, In God We Trust, quietly rests, just like it has for decades. It looks normal, but collectors don't see normal. They see opportunity. Flip it over to the reverse. Monticello stands there, Jefferson's home, detailed, structured, almost architectural in its precision. E pluribus unum arches above. Monticello sits centered, and 5 cents and United States of America complete the design. But here's what most people miss. The sharpness of those steps, the clarity of the lines, the depth of the strike. This is where value hides. Coins from 2001D often suffered from weak strikes. The dies were wearing down. Production was relentless. So when a coin shows stronger detail, even in fine condition, it starts raising eyebrows. Collectors zoom in on Monticello's steps. They study Jefferson's hairlines. They analyze the spacing of letters. These tiny details, this is not fiction. This is what drives value. And here's the part that most people get wrong, and it destroys everything. Cleaning. If you take this coin and try to make it shiny, you're erasing history. You're stripping away the original toning, the natural surface that collectors obsess over. That darkened, slightly worn look, that's not damage. That's proof of survival. Never clean this coin. Ever. In fine condition, this coin tells a story. It's been used, passed around, handled by thousands of hands. And yet, it survived. That survival, combined with the right characteristics, is what creates demand. Because collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying history, rarity, and the emotional thrill of owning something others overlooked. Now let's talk about what's really happening behind the scenes. These coins aren't being loudly advertised. They're not sitting in obvious displays. They're quietly moving between collectors, often held tightly, rarely released. And when one does appear at auction, that's when things get aggressive. Bidders don't hesitate. They compete because they know what's at stake. Right now, a 2001D Jefferson Nickel in fine condition, without errors, without flashy features, is hitting around $50,000 in the right market. Let that sink in. $50,000 for a coin people still use to buy snacks. That's hidden wealth. That's a silent fortune sitting in drawers, jars, and pockets across the country. So what should you do? First, check the date. 2001. Then look for that D mint mark. Don't rush. Don't assume it's worthless. Look closely at the details, Monticello's steps, the lettering, the overall surface. And if you think you might have something, don't guess. Get it professionally graded, because one small detail can multiply the value beyond what you expect. And remember this, patience creates wealth in this world. The people making real money with coins, they're not rushing to sell. They're holding, waiting, watching the market tighten as supply shrinks and demand rises. Because every year more of these coins disappear, lost, damaged, cleaned, or spent. Which brings us to the warning you cannot ignore. Do not spend this coin. Once it leaves your hands, it might never come back. And you won't even realize what you lost until it's too late. But if you think this is shocking, what comes next is even bigger. There's another Jefferson Nickel out there, rarer, more dangerous to ignore, and worth far more than anyone expects, and almost nobody is checking for it. You're about to see a coin that most people would walk past without blinking, and that's exactly why it's slipping through fingers every single day. The 1991D Jefferson Nickel is not flashy. It's not rare-looking. It doesn't demand attention. But behind that dull, ordinary surface is something collectors are quietly obsessing over, and once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. This is one of those coins that feels invisible until it suddenly isn't. Back in 1991, the United States was dealing with economic pressure, shifting markets, and the aftershocks of global tension from the early 90s. Manufacturing across industries, including coin production, was focused on speed and volume. The Denver Mint was pushing out millions of nickels, trying to meet demand. But when speed increases, precision quietly suffers. Dies wear down faster, details soften, and somewhere in that chaos, a few coins come out just different enough to matter today. This 1991D nickel carries that story. It was born in a system that didn't have time to slow down. And because of that, subtle variations started appearing. Variations most people never notice. But collectors, they notice everything. They study the smallest shifts in detail, the faintest differences in strike quality. And when they find one that stands out, even in fine condition, it becomes something they hold on to tightly. Pick it up. Feel the weight, 5.0 grams. The diameter, 21.21 millimeters. Thickness, right around 1.95 millimeters. Smooth edge, nothing unusual at first glance. It feels like every other nickel you've ever touched. And that's the trap. Because the real value isn't in how it feels. It's in what survived on its surface after decades of circulation. Look closely at the obverse. Jefferson's profile faces left, calm and familiar. In God We Trust sits along the left edge. The word liberty, followed by the date 1991, appears on the right. And right there, don't miss it, that small D mint mark. That tiny letter is everything. Without it, the story changes. With it, you're looking at a coin that came out of one of the most overworked mint facilities of that time. Now flip it. The reverse shows Monticello, but this is where collectors lean in. The building steps, the columns, the fine lines. In 1991D nickels, these details were often weak. Dies were wearing out fast. So when a coin, even in fine condition, still shows stronger than expected structure, it becomes something special. This detail changes everything. Most people miss this completely. Here's where things get intense. Over the years, millions of these nickels were used, abused, scratched, cleaned, and destroyed. People didn't care. It was just 5 cents. But a small number survived with the right balance of wear and preserved detail. Not perfect, not mint state, but real, untouched original. And that originality, that's what collectors crave. Let's talk about surfaces. That slightly dark tone, that uneven color, those natural marks from years of circulation, this is not damage in the collector world. This is character. This is proof the coin hasn't been tampered with. The moment you clean it, polish it, or try to improve it, you erase that story. You kill the value instantly. Never clean this coin. That warning alone could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Now imagine this. 2 identical 1991D nickels. One cleaned, shiny, stripped of its natural surface. The other untouched, with original toning and honest wear. To the average person, the shiny one looks better. To a collector, it's worthless compared to the untouched one. That's how brutal this market is. That's why knowledge is everything. And then there's the demand. These coins are not flooding the market. They're disappearing. Every year more get lost, more get damaged, more get spent without a second thought. Meanwhile, collectors are becoming more aggressive, more competitive. When a strong example shows up at auction, things get quiet, then intense. Bidding jumps fast. People don't hesitate. Right now, a 1991D Jefferson nickel in fine condition, no errors, no special varieties, is reaching around $70,000 in serious auctions. $70,000 for something that still sits in circulation. That's not pocket change. That's hidden wealth. That's a silent fortune hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice before it's gone forever. So what should you be looking for? First, the date, 1991. Then immediately check for that D mint mark. After that, slow down. Look at Monticello's steps. Are they visible? Are the lines sharper than expected for a circulated coin? Check Jefferson's hair details. Look at the lettering. Are they bold or fading? These tiny signals are what separate a common coin from something extraordinary. And if you think you found one, don't guess. Don't assume. Get it professionally graded. Because in this world, one expert opinion can turn a 5-cent coin into a life-changing opportunity. This is not the place to cut corners. This is where patience pays off in ways most people never experience. Here's the reality most people don't want to hear. You might already have this coin, sitting in a jar, lost in a drawer, mixed in with loose change. And every single day, people are unknowingly spending them. That's what makes this so painful, because once it's gone, and you'll never know what you just lost. So let me say it clearly, do not spend this coin. Check everything. Take your time, because this isn't just about coins anymore. This is about awareness. This is about catching something others ignore. This is about seeing value where nobody else is looking. And if you think $70,000 is shocking, the next coin will completely change how you see Jefferson nickels forever. Because the one coming up next isn't just rare. It's the kind of coin that makes collectors nervous when it appears. And almost nobody is ready for it. There's a moment right before someone realizes what they've lost, where everything goes quiet. That's exactly what's happening with the 1989 Jefferson Nickel right now. People are spending it, dropping it in vending machines, ignoring it completely. And yet, this exact coin, with a tiny P mint mark, is being hunted by collectors who already know the truth. This isn't just another nickel. This is the one people regret missing. 1989 was not a calm year. The United States was transitioning economically, markets were shifting, and production demands didn't slow down. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with that subtle P, was pushing out nickels in massive numbers. But here's the part nobody tells you. When production ramps up under pressure, consistency starts to crack. Dies wear unevenly. Details fade unpredictably. And a small number of coins escape that chaos with characteristics that shouldn't exist. That's where this coin lives. Not in perfection, but in survival. In fine condition, this 1989p nickel tells a story of circulation, handling, and time, yet somehow certain details remain just strong enough to catch a trained eye. And that's all it takes. Because collectors don't need perfection. They need something different. Something rare within the ordinary. Pick it up and feel it. Same familiar weight, 5.0 grams. Diameter, 21.21 millimeters. Thickness, 1.95 millimeters. Smooth edge. Nothing unusual. It blends in with every other nickel you've ever seen. But that's the danger. Because the real value isn't obvious. It's hidden in the tiny details most people rush past without thinking. Look at the obverse. Jefferson's portrait is there, facing left, calm and unchanged. "In God we trust" sits to the side. Liberty and the date 1989 follow along the edge. And right there, that small P mint mark. Philadelphia coins didn't always carry mint marks before 1980, but by 1989, that P had become standard, and collectors now obsess over it. Because even within P coins, not all are created equal. Turn it over. Monticello appears again, but don't just glance at it. Study it. The steps, the columns, the fine architectural lines. In 1989, many of these nickels came out weakly struck due to die fatigue. So when a coin, even in fine condition, still shows clearer step definition or stronger line work, it stands out immediately. This is the detail most people miss, and it changes everything. Now here's where things get serious. Over decades, these coins have been abused, scratched, cleaned, polished, damaged. People thought they were worthless. But that's exactly why surviving examples with original surfaces are becoming rare. That natural toning, the slightly dark, uneven color, that's not a flaw. That's a signature. That's proof the coin hasn't been altered. And listen carefully, because this is where people lose everything. If you clean this coin, even gently, even once, you destroy its value. Completely. Collectors don't want shiny. They want original. They want untouched history. That thin layer of age on the surface, that's what they're paying for. Never clean this coin. Not under any circumstances. Now imagine being in a quiet auction room. No noise. No hype. Just serious collectors watching closely. A 1989p nickel appears. Fine condition, strong detail, original toning. Bidding starts low, then climbs fast. Because everyone in that room knows how few of these truly desirable examples exist. And once it's gone, it might not show up again for a long time. Right now, this exact coin, 1989, with a P mint mark in fine condition, is reaching around $80,000 in today's market. Let that hit you. $80,000 for a coin people still treat like nothing. That's not just value, that's hidden wealth. That's a silent fortune sitting unnoticed in everyday life. Collectors are not selling these easily. They're holding, waiting, watching supply shrink as more coins disappear into collections or get lost forever. And demand? It's rising. Quietly, aggressively. The kind of demand that doesn't show up in headlines, but explodes when the right coin appears. So what should you do right now? First, check the date. 1989, then find that P mint mark. After that, slow everything down. Look at Monticello's steps. Are they faint or surprisingly defined? Check the lettering. Look at Jefferson's hair. These tiny details separate ordinary from extraordinary. This is not guesswork. This is precision. If you think you've found one, don't rush to sell. Don't assume you know its value. Get it professionally graded. Because one small overlooked detail can multiply the price beyond what you ever expected. This is where patience turns into serious money. This is where people either make a fortune or accidentally lose one. And let's be brutally honest, most people are still spending these coins every single day, without thinking, without checking. That's what makes this so painful, because the opportunity is there, but only for the people who slow down enough to see it. So say it with me, do not spend this coin. Hold it, protect it, respect its condition. Because once it's gone for good, and you'll never know if you just gave away a life-changing opportunity. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of 99% of people. But don't get comfortable, because there are still coins out there, even more valuable, even more hidden, that nobody is checking. And the next one? It's not just rare. It's the kind of coin that can completely flip someone's life overnight. So before you spend another single coin, check everything. Because your next piece of change might be the one that changes everything.